When most people hear drone, they think of the military-grade aircrafts used for remote surveillance or missile strikes. What they don't think of are small unmanned aircraft systems, or SUASs, which are small aerial vehicles that can hold a camera. They've only recently become widely available for the public, and they have the potential to revolutionize journalism around the world. Take this footage of the damage wrought by Typhoon Haiyan in the Philippines in 2013, for example. For Telegraph photographer Lewis Wild, the only way to see the extent of the damage was from the air. He packed up his homemade drone and headed to the devastated city of Tacloban in order to capture the destruction with perspective only available from a drone. 6 months later, he came back and traced the same routes with the drone to show how much has changed since the typhoon. Wild sees drones as simply another tool in the bag that will actually add another component to stories in the future.
There's a bit of a myth that this kind of drone journalism thing is a kind of be-all and end-all of kind of journalism, and it's a package in itself. And I don't think that's the case. It doesn't replace anything that we previously did.
When floods hit South Wales in February, Wild used his drone to capture this 360 image for the Telegraph, giving a different perspective on how badly the area had been affected by the flooding.
What you don't want to do is show off with your flying. What you want to do is concentrate on what tells the best story. So it's not a point that you can fly around a building and do a backflip or something. It's not like the best way of showing the story. It might be a slower pan or a slower movement that can kind of give you the best perspective.
But there are both privacy and safety issues surrounding drone use. Not everyone wants their photo taken, and a drone too high up runs the risk of a potentially disastrous collision with normal aircrafts. Regulations on drone use vary from country to country, with some like Mexico having no regulation whatsoever, and others like Canada with heavy restrictions. When considering the future of drone journalism, Wild imagines a world with global regulations similar to what you would need for a driver's license.
I think the future is a kind of a global regulation on this. So the laws kind of apply in lots of different countries. And once people know what those rules are, and it might be something similar to the rules we have here in Britain, then it's less of the kind of the Wild West that we've got at the moment.
Dominique Mesguet is another journalist who's been using drones for journalism. He started out flying remote-controlled helicopters, but now uses a small quadcopter to capture footage for the French newspaper where he works. He's used drones to get video of floods and to provide better perspective on buildings during interviews.
We film catastrophe and situation where we haven't people under the drone because the French law don't allow me to fly when we have people under the drone.
France was one of the first countries in the EU to provide a framework for drone activities and allows pilots a higher degree of freedom in where and how they use them. Currently, there are restrictions on flying in populated areas and training requirements, but journalists can use footage commercially. Bill Allen, an assistant professor at the University of Missouri in Columbia, taught a class called Science Investigative Reporting, Drone Journalism, that had students capture stories such as this one on controlled burns. But the class had to halt its news gathering after the Federal Aviation Administration sent a formal request for it to cease all operations. While he doesn't necessarily disagree with the FAA's decision, Allen says that they are limiting journalists' ability to tell new stories.
In short, we are cut off at the knees in our ability to explore the possibilities of these small unmanned aircraft systems with cameras and other sensing devices for journalism.
Since then, Allen has resumed the class with flights only being done indoors to avoid violating the FAA's request. He's optimistic about the future and possibilities for drones in journalism, though.
This is one of those technologies where once you get up there and start to use it, you'll find all kinds of ways of doing it that we can't even think of now. We barely see the possibilities right now.
For Global Journalist, I'm Jake Godin.